I've always been like incredibly proud of the influences and the people around me. I am who I am because of everything that I'm around. The amazing Richard Shaw, Virgil Shaw, Margaret Kilgallen, a painting by my grandma, Aaron. Aaron Curry was a really incredibly inventive artist on the street writing Orphan, and he's quite well known in the graffiti and kind of underground art communities. He wrote Orphan because he was raised in the foster care system. He's another person I had an enormous amount of respect for because he never stopped working. I mean, he worked around the clock and he made paintings, drawings, zines. He is probably one of the most prolific graffiti artists that continued to paint for 25 years. He passed away just 2 days after I found out about the Sika, and that same night, that Friday, was the ghost ship fire. So it was a pretty raw time. I always had the idea of asking about bringing other people's work into this situation specifically. It's something that I've done for every solo show I've had. I do it because I feel like I've had an enormous amount of opportunity to show my work, and I have a lot of friends that work just as hard and are more talented, in my opinion, and so there's sort of the idea of like sharing and just utilizing the space, the idea of sort of treating a kind of solo show a little bit differently as opposed to like, this is me, this is all my space. You know, I enjoy installing and having shows, but I'm more of like I'm more excited about it having other people involved as well, and getting the exposure of the work out there, and that leads back to Aaron. I love the idea of his work being at the museum. It makes a lot of us pretty happy. So I think Aaron would be happy about it too. I think people see really the social negatives of graffiti. I mean, vandalism gets talked about a lot, which I think is a very interesting way of talking about it, because I think there's an enormous amount of vandalism going on in hypercapitalism and commodification, and I think there's a lot of violence in it too, actually, and there's audacity and advertising, and you know, it's a whole mental warfare. I don't really do street graffiti anymore, but it's not an easy medium. Spray paint is not an easy medium. There's a line and a gesture in a spray with a spray can that you cannot get with a brush. And then with graffiti, you're dealing with all different surfaces and situations. I'm not worried about you know, holding, white knuckling my ideas or my preferences. I like to just kind of roll with what's there and do what I can to try and, you know, just be an open person.